Hello, guys. Welcome to episode 6 of the Eye Test FC. Say Ambale. Cheers.
Yes.
So let's get into the thick of it. How do you feel about the game of the week? City versus Arsenal, the battle at the Etihad.
I feel so proud to be an Arsenal fan. So proud of how my team performed this week. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. I said before the game I would take a 0-0. I'm so disappointed we didn't win. Thinking of it a day after the game, emotions have settled in. There was so much that was going on. I was just looking at the fallout of the game after the game on social media, and I was just thinking about all those times in the last 15 years, right, where Arsenal have gone to these big away grounds, lost 5-1, 6-3, 6-0, 8-2, and all rival fans have said, like, Arsenal don't have a spine. Even more recently, like 3 years ago, against City at the Etihad, Xhaka got sent off after 25 minutes, and Arsenal again kept attacking City, lost that game 5-0. 2 years
Arteta
ago,
mentioned this.
yeah, and 2 years ago, Arsenal went to play, and press City again in a title decider, lost 4-1. And that game ended 11-11. But I think Arteta has learned from that game and started playing in a more pragmatic manner against City. And Arsenal have set up in a way where they don't create 20 chances. And if you can get something out of that game and don't give City that, you know, 3 points in a 6 pointer, I think that's a huge advantage in a title race. And I have absolutely no problems with the way Arsenal played. So I want to address that concern first, or that point first, that I've seen a lot of people talk about on social media. If Arteta needs to be champions with this Arsenal team, they have to find a way to win no matter what. And hey, I've seen Mourinho celebrate a draw at the Emirates, and his famous chin up celebration that came after a 0-0, which Chelsea then went on to win the title on. So these kind of things are normal in football. I don't think you have to win every game to win the Premier League, but I feel so proud of how the team played, and so proud of how they played in the context of the game as well.
I think it was a game of two halves. Obviously, the ref ruined the second half that nobody can deny. And actually, I was going to make the Mourinho comparison myself. That people have criticized Mourinho for his park the bus type football throughout his career, but the reason why people respect Mourinho is because in the end he wins the titles. So now that Arsenal have, or Arteta rather, has come to this tactical shift of going to grounds, and like you said last week that you would have taken the 0-0, you would have taken the draw. I think the first half you guys played for the draw as well. Like, it was a very low block against City. You guys had one shot and two goals throughout the game. Again, I don't want to talk about the second half obviously, but it's rather the mentality. So now that you're in this mentality of trying to digging out whatever it takes to get the wins, I think it has to be now followed up with the titles, or else there's going to be a certain shift of like, okay, where is this going? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I do. I completely understand. I think, look, Liverpool have done this in the past 5, 6 years as well, right? Like, competed against City, and you as a Liverpool fan know how
Not like
difficult it
this
is.
though. Not like this though. There is a difference. Like I said, and Bernardo Silva said this as well after the game, and I told you this last week. We have drawn enough games at the Etihad, and I have never come out happy with a single one of them. And we have never played for a draw. So I think there is a difference in the mentality of play. If you compare that with how Arsenal went about it. Obviously, the way you played in the second half was just great tactics because you were 10 men down, and then to defend against City at the Etihad was very commendable. But in the first half, like it is okay to mention that if Klopp's Liverpool, when we were competing against City, or if Arne Slot this year goes to the Etihad or even the Emirates, which is coming up pretty soon in about a month's time, and we play this way, even if we come out with a draw, I will not be happy. You know what I'm trying to say?
I do understand that. I also think context of the game is important. Like Arsenal have not played without Odegaard, their only real creative outlet in that team for three and a half years. And when Odegaard has not been playing in the last two games against Tottenham and Atalanta, Arsenal didn't really
Create.
do too much on the ball. Most of the work was off the ball. The goal against Tottenham was a set piece. So, finding a way to win in these contexts is what matter a lot more, especially to win the title. I think Rodri's injury was very unfortunate, and I've
Dude.
heard that it's an ACL.
Yeah, he's out
Uh,
for the season as per multiple reports.
yeah, it's not been confirmed by City yet, but
No.
if what
But it is a big injury though. Regardless
yeah,
of the length of the injury, he's not coming back anytime soon.
City are so good that I think even without Rodri, they won the first four games of the season. Something they
But
weren't
it's
able
gonna
to
be
do last
hard.
year.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be hard though. Like for an entire season, I think that's like, and we discussed this in our very first episode, right? That Rodri is the most integral part of the City side. Like again, how you didn't have Odegaard, City didn't have KDB, and obviously KDB is one of the greatest midfielders to play in Premier League history. But Rodri is the fulcrum of that City team, and it's going to be very interesting to see now how City managed to do without him and how Pep Guardiola, kind of adjust to that. But let's go, break down the game and what are your opinions on like how the first goal happened?
Well, I think there was a mistake in that first goal, in the build up to that first goal. And the mistake is only one, which is the referee not giving a yellow card to Bernardo Silva for running with the ball uh, and kicking the ball away. And judging by
Okay.
consistency, judging by consistency, that should have been a yellow card. I've actually spoken to a few City fans after the game, and they agree with me on this surprisingly. But what they said and what Pep said, and I understand why you're asking me this question on the game. I think, man, City are just crybabies who
Okay.
expect to have everything going their way. A quick free
Yeah.
kick means, of course, your player is going to be out of position, especially if they stop to give
No,
tactical
no,
advice to the rest of their defense.
that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Haaland goal, actually, the first goal in the game. Because yeah, which is why I was a little confused because I wanted to go goal by goal because I wanted to talk about Saliba a little bit. I think in that Haaland goal, it was great by Savinho to cut in. He did Calafiori well there and played in a brilliant pass. But I think Saliba was too far away from his man, and like in closing that gap, like he recognizes when Savinho's broken through that ball is going to Haaland. Who else is he going to pass through? But so in my opinion, and again, not to take anything from his second half performance with the other eight defenders next to him, but for that first goal against Haaland, I don't think he defended quite well
I agree. I think this is the second time I've seen this season. It was also the João Pedro goal
against
at the
Brighton.
Emirates, yeah, at
Yeah,
Brighton, where there was a gap between the two centre backs. I don't know if this is a coaching thing or if this is just bad positioning or moments where he switched off. But someone in defense was at fault, either Gabriel or Saliba.
but yeah, sure. And now coming back to the Calafiori goal as well, I think it was an extraordinary goal, right? Like, and what a way to open your account at your new club.
Yeah, incredible goal. And even for the Walker comment, right? It's not that a ball went into the box and Walker let Martinelli pass him. Like Walker was able
Yeah,
to close Martinelli down, the ball went back. So the argument for
yeah,
City is still very weak, but take nothing away from that strike. Like Calafiori
for
knew it
sure.
was going in before it went in and then celebrated with Arteta. The selection paid off. Like, man, wow. Like, what can you say? Like, to announce yourself against City at the Etihad, man, he's already scored a goal that Arsenal fans will remember for a very, very long time.
I'm sure. But speaking of Walker for that second goal, like what was he doing? Like if you've seen the clip again where he's like punching Gabriel in the stomach, and then he's just nowhere to be found when Gabriel skips away from him, which I feel is very funny.
And this is the second corner of the game for Arsenal, and the first one, which was few minutes before the goal, was also an identical corner, identical routine,
Exactly.
and Gabriel missed scoring from a point blank range.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, again, great goal. I think he's always come up with those important goals for Arsenal. Goal last week at Tottenham, again this week at the Etihad, and it's great to have that in your Arsenal. And
I think to cap this off, and the festivities that happened after the game, you see a real, like, the narrative at least of a start of a real rivalry. I think last year or the year before that, City didn't really see you as peers in terms of the attitudes between the two teams. I think this time you had them properly rattled, I would say, so that they struggled to beat a 10-man Arsenal at their own home ground. And after that, Haaland's gimmicks of throwing the ball at Gabriel's head, or telling Arteta to stay Ambele, or then calling Jesus a clown or whatever. I think now you are kind of getting into their heads a little bit, I would say so. And, like, yeah, how do you feel about that?
I think the Premier League has missed that sort of rivalry. I think even in the Liverpool City peak, it never felt, it always felt like, everyone were friends and they were just playing football. Now it just feels really like, they're out to get each other. And I really like that edge about the Premier League rivalries in like historical rivalries as well. But I'm just glad that we're getting that rivalry right now.
I feel like Arsenal have to, in terms of the narrative, right, of Arsenal, like how you mentioned, and how you are now, like, barking at the big boys, like, going head to head with them. I think now for Arsenal fans or the team itself, the narrative has to change within, like, especially after Rodri's injury. And I'm saying this as a Liverpool fan, when we lost the title by a point with 97 points and won the Champions League that year, not a single Liverpool fan was content because we had missed out on the Prem. And the next year that we did win it, it was not some miracle that Liverpool won. It was my title, and I expected to win this title. You know what I'm trying to say? So now I think Arsenal have to run the same narrative, where you can't have it both ways. You can either bark at the big boys and say that, okay, we are here to win this, and we are going to win this title because we expect to win it, and not be in this, like, oh, where it's going to be some miracle that Arsenal are going to win a title. You know what I'm saying? That mentality needs to shift a little bit.
I don't think I have never at least said that it's a miracle. I think in the last 2 years, Arsenal have missed off the top or off the title by a few points, 5-2, with like 7 apologies from the Premier League for bad decisions along the way.
Let's see. I This is, in my opinion, a very monumental year for Arsenal, or especially Arteta, because he, not just the Premier League, but he has to win now. You know what I'm saying? Like, if now this is another year of trophyless, and, oh, we played such good football, guys, look at our passing or whatever, I don't think anybody's going to care. It has to be backed up with trophies.
I think Arteta will win a Premier League with Arsenal. Let's leave it at that. Also, my goal of the week would be Calafiori versus City, although a special shout out to Raul Jimenez for his volley against Newcastle.
Oh, that was a good turn. But my goal of the week, and now talking about my team a little bit, I would say Nunez versus Bournemouth. That entire sequence was just amazing, and just that cutback at the end, since we're talking about the goal and the finish with his weaker foot, I think was absolutely brilliant. I think he needs to be more consistent now in terms of his game time as well, like how many minutes he's getting. He has to prove to the manager that he's also there to take that starting number 9 spot. And yeah, I was really happy with the way Liverpool played. I Coming back from that Forest defeat last week at Anfield, it was, we had to bounce back, which we did in the Champions League as well. But in coming back to the Premier League, another game at Anfield, very composed, and yeah, good 3 points.
Yeah, I think my I Test FC play of the week would actually be the Nunez goal for similar reasons. I really like the
Okay.
fact that both Salah and Nunez swapped positions. Uh, and and I love this sort of simple football in a world where you sometimes have to make 40 passes to score. It was just Konate, long ball to Nunez, who headed it to Salah, who
Yeah.
just gave it forward, and then weak foot finish. So I really loved the entire uh, team play, and I think Salah had a huge part to play in that goal as well by taking out the defender, dragging him out, creating that space. Nunez did brilliantly as well. So that would be my play of the week. What about yours?
Yeah, it was a very well worked goal. But my play of the week, I would say the Jackson goal. A couple quick passes and then that assist by Caicedo to pull him through, and a good finish, similar to the one Haaland versus Arsenal with that just toe poke past the keeper. And I think Chelsea, we spoke about this last week as well, that Maresca is really coming into his own now with this Chelsea squad. And, 3 away games and 3 away victories for Chelsea. That's pretty commendable compared to where they were last year. And to win against West Ham away is not a joke. That was
Yeah,
nice.
and that's my surprise of the week actually. Like West Ham losing at home again. I think it's the first time in their modern history that they've lost the first three home games of a Premier League season. And considering the investment that they've had over the summer with a new manager, really, really surprising to see. Not in a good way. I expected much better from West Ham.
My surprise of the week actually would be a team that's not losing at all, in fact, which is Nottingham Forest. Still unbeaten in the Premier League with a win against Anfield last week. But no, kudos to them. I think they're playing some really good football. And yeah, that would be my surprise. I don't think 5 games into the Premier League, anybody could have seen this coming.
True, true. I'm just really happy for the Hayland boys in Fulham and them dismantling Newcastle at home. Hopefully, that also gives extra motivation for Newcastle to beat City next week, so that they are my team of the week.
Fair enough. My team of the week, I would go for Chelsea. I think overall performance, it could have easily been Arsenal also, but I think they're looking pretty good, and that's my team of the week.
So to wrap up, speaking of the other games, yeah, I think Iliman and Dai, a player who I really liked, has scored for Everton to draw against Leicester City away from home. Great result for Everton. I think they'll get momentum on the back of this result. Ipswich denied Southampton a win at home, and Aaron Ramsdale a first clean sheet for Southampton. I think United were wasteful in their chances and only came away with a draw at Selhurst Park. And what is with Madison taking off his shirt in September, bro? Like, you beat Brentford at home in September. Like, come on. Typical
you
Tottenham things.
really, you really, really want your disappointment of the year to not perform well. But that's it for this week's episode. We'll see you next week as United take on Tottenham and City travel to Newcastle. See you guys.